Today, we have a massive case that could decide the use of AI in the legal field in the United States. We're going to get into today on Legal Mindset, where I teach you to be your own judge. Of course, I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney. This is a Fast Facts video, the quick and dirty version of the latest in legal news. So we have this giant OpenAI big court really fail in what's going on in this case. Let me break it down. Of course, we have OpenAI here, massive, known for ChatGPT. Everybody uses ChatGPT for so many things, and people are getting caught using ChatGPT in the wrong context. We've seen this in schools, we've seen this in workplace, and now we're seeing a lot of it in the courtroom. And this case, specifically with Nippon Life Insurance, which came down just now in March 2026, could actually answer the AI legal question definitively. So let's jump right into the opening statements. So Graciela Della Torre settled a long-term disability claim with Nippon with prejudice in January 2024. So mind you, with prejudice meaning, hey, you're not supposed to come back here and be filing anything. We're done with this. It's over, right? Well, she felt like her lawyer was gaslighting her, that her lawyer didn't do a good job and her lawyer didn't get what she felt like she deserved. So what did she do? She took all of the legal correspondence and she uploaded that to ChatGPT. And ChatGPT agreed with her. And mind you, this is a tendency of AI to agree with you when you're doing the inputs. Am I right? It tends to try to lead you into that. So it says, yeah, no, you were totally right. Your lawyer was totally wrong. And here, I'm going to draft a bunch of motions. I'm going to do all this legal research, get all these case citations, and we're going to provide new motions to back up your case and refile this. Well, she fired a lawyer. She attempted to reopen the case and filed dozens and dozens of motions. That did not go very well. So the court found that the ChatGPT motions were absolutely useless. They had no legal legitimate purpose. You know, as in many places, there were wrong citations, wrong format, procedure, etc. So the court was not happy with that attempt, right? And neither was Nippon Life Insurance, because if you go to March 2026, this month, they filed a suit against OpenAI itself for $10.3 million, accusing it of practicing law without a license by wrongful legal assistance. Now, this is different because in previous cases, the people being punished for the use of AI were the lawyers or were the litigants. They've been punished for that, saying, hey, you can't do that. That's unauthorized practice of law. But now they're actually going after OpenAI themselves, and for a very significant amount of money, right? That's a very, very large sum. So this is something that we come up to the big argument of, okay, is this pro-AI, anti-AI? Where do we go with this? So there's some arguments from the pro-AI camp that just you have to hear out, right? Because users can already file pro se, so you can already represent yourself. That's something that you can do. And for decades upon decades, people have gone through legal libraries and flipped through books and done their own research without being lawyers and ended up filing in court pro se. You're allowed to do that. Right now, you can't call yourself a lawyer, but you can indeed file yourself and represent yourself pro se. That's completely legal, right? And there is a case in Michigan where a pro se plaintiff, that's somebody representing themselves, actually was able to protect ChatGPT records as work product, as protected work product. So there are some cases that are allowing these pro se litigants a little bit more leeway when they're using these sort of mechanisms, when using AI, right? And OpenAI also showed that ChatGPT can pass the bar exam. Now, this is one, as an attorney, I was not too shocked about, because listen, if you get enough of the inputs in there and you know what the questions are and you know what the topics are, yeah, it's eventually going to pass the bar exam, right? Just passing the bar exam isn't necessarily the standard for, okay, can you practice competently in this local jurisdiction? But okay, it's got some basic level of legal knowledge, right? And it did change its policies in October of last year to bar users from seeking legal advice. So that's something that it did eventually change. The other thing too is most law firms are using AI. So don't think that these lawyers are flipping through legal books or doing hardcore research. A lot of them are using AI. And I would say the number is probably even higher than 70%, as some law firms might not want to admit they're using AI, but they really are, right? But that's something going on. And there are legal AI services that are out there, like, for example, with LexisNexis has Lexis Plus, which advertises legal AI. There's CoCounsel, there's Harvey, there's other things that are used in legal practice by law firms. So these products, nobody's debating about. Lexis isn't getting sued, neither is Thomson Reuters, right, for their co-counsel product. They're not being sued, just OpenAI, which is not one of these specified legal products. Mind you, these legal products, for those that are not lawyers and don't know, are often very, very prohibitively expensive. So there's something that only a law firm would actually end up investing in, right? So you have that argument on the pro-AI side that, hey, look, all these things are happening. Let's go into anti-AI. So the courts recently, over the last few years especially, have been flooded with filings that people are deeming AI hallucinations. They're submitting cases with fake citations that have unverified materials that are just really absolute garbage. And the litigants and the lawyers have been sanctioned for this. We've seen this in cases, including we covered the Valve case in Washington, where one of the interns or whoever used bad research from AI, which had fake citations, didn't work at all. We've seen people getting punished for this over and over. And the biggest thing that AI is ignorant of is local rules and procedure, because you can even know the state rules. So let's say I'm a Florida attorney, we can know the Florida rules, but maybe the rules are different in Tampa than they are in Jacksonville or Miami or Orlando, and they don't know those local rules or the local procedure. They might also not be ignorant of filing times or certain types of motions which cannot be filed, like unless a certain scenario applies. It might not know that, right? It might just know the broader law and the basic legal principles overall, the overarching principles. And right now, AI generally lacks safeguards to prevent legal conclusions and also to protect confidentiality. Because if you look at your data and the data that it's giving out and the data that it's analyzing, that's not held to the standard of attorney-client confidentiality. That data is getting out there, and that is a real problem when you're looking at a legal situation. So, what's my judgment? OpenAI's case could answer the AI question, and this could actually really throw back and change how all platforms are allowing people to access legal research even and legal conclusions, certainly, right? And while this case is too early to settle, now OpenAI takes the position that this is garbage, they're going to fight this, etc. And I think OpenAI does have a strong case to push back against it. It does lack some of those safeguards that would allow them to completely stop this suit. So it's really too difficult to sell. But both pro se litigants and law firms are going to continue to use AI. Let's be real, let's be honest, right? Current companies need to implement guardrails to prevent these products from giving legal conclusions, and also just to be honest and say, hey, look, we don't know this. The AI cannot tell you the local procedures. It can't tell you exactly how to file these motions in a proper way. It needs to stop at that point and say, no, we can't do this. No, the AI cannot generate that for you. But for now, for people that are even in law firms, I think the best you can do is treat it like a paralegal or a junior associate and have everything checked by an experienced lawyer who actually knows the local rules, who actually knows the procedure, who knows what's going down. That's the only way to make sure it's completely checked off, right? And for pro se litigants, you're going to need to create an area where, okay, it's okay in this limited facet for maybe some basic research, but after that, you're going to go need to make sure that everything conforms with these rules. You can't just take what the AI completely generates for you, all the filings, and drop those in court. But I want to know what you guys think. Is that fair? Where do you think AI is going to go with lawyering in the future? And I will catch you on the next one.